Hello friends. It is, I am Teah Woodward and I am Stamp with Teah. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And this is Thursday evening, my regularly scheduled evening for mystery stamping. So, I have a distraction going on over here. Don't normally see myself on the computer, and my computer hasn't gone to sleep yet. So I'm going to try to ignore that. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for joining me tonight. I think everybody's going to like tonight's card. Yeah, it's cute. I love how my concept card turned out. I've got everything cut and ready to go. And thank you. I have everything ready to go. I think really the only thing I just want to make sure that I mention ahead of time is we do have a promotion going on right now that is the savings are in bloom. And the big winner out of all of that is that our mini cut and emboss machine that sits tabletop. So it's real small. I mean, you can see just by the palm of my hand how big this is. This is 20% off right now. So normally $60 and it's $48 in the United States. So I am actually going to use this making this card tonight. And the bundle that I am using, I'm using the Sweet as a Peach stamp set and dies. This is also 20% off right now. So, something to think about. It's only good through the end of the month. So, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. And the other thing I want to mention real quick is right now we're in the middle of the January through June mini catalog, and I have extras. So if you don't have a demonstrator and you need one, let me know, and I would be glad to send one out to you. I would be thrilled, as a matter of fact. And we are very close to the annual catalog switching over as well. So that's really exciting to think about as well. And my customers, my my customers, I automatically send the catalog to everybody. When it comes out, everybody that has purchased from me in the last year, I send them the catalog. And I send some other goodies. Just saying. Anyway, how about if we go ahead and get started, and I will turn, I just thought of one more thing that I want to say. If you already have a demonstrator, but you want to find a way to support Stamp with Teah or Teah Woodward, there's a couple of different ways that you could really help me. One of those ways is to share my videos or share my posts. That goes a long way on social media. It helps me tremendously to gain exposure. Because I am still fairly new at this, my audience has a little ways to go yet, and I am looking to grow my business. Another way is if I post something, if you pin that to Pinterest, that's another great way to help me. So if you've got another demonstrator but you would like to find a way to help me out, those are two really good ways to help me out. All right, I'm going to turn the camera down. I am so excited by tonight's card. I think you will be too. All right, let's see if I can do this. The last couple of times I dropped it. Don't think I'm dropping it this time. I think doesn't feel like I'm straight. Maybe it's my holder here. There, that's pretty straight. Hi, Kay. It's good to see you. That's awesome. So excited. Well, so I'm just going to go over the pieces that I had cut and that I asked everybody else to cut. If you're if you're crafting along with me tonight. If not, if you're just watching, that's fine too. So I asked for you to cut one piece that's 5.5 by 11. That is not a typo. One piece that's 3 by 6. So those are in colored cardstock. 3 pieces of white cardstock that are 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. 3 pieces of designer series paper that are 1.5 by 5 1/4. And 1 piece of designer series paper that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set everything that's not the colored cardstock aside, and you're going to bring out your score tool. Make sure your cutting blade is moved out of the way, and I'm going to have to open this up. Let's see. I guess I should have pointed out, here's my host code for the month of March, which I'm about to cover up, but just for a minute. And scoot this up. Oh goodness. Scoot, scoot. Let's see if I can adjust this just a little bit so that you can see the edge of my, there we go. That's pretty much okay. All right. So we're going to start with the biggest piece that's 5.5 by 11. Pull your cutting blade out of the way and just use your scoring blade. Or if you're using, there's several different scoring tools that you could be using, but this is the one I'm using. All right. The first score is at 4 inches. So we're sliding along the long side. Score at 4 inches. The second score, and I will repeat these, is at 5 3/4. And the third score is at 7 1/2. And the last score for this piece of paper is 9 1/4. And I will repeat all of those in just 1 minute. So you're going to take the piece of paper that is 5.5 by 11, and 5.5 is correct, by 11. You're going to score it 4, 5 3/4, 9 1/2, oh excuse me, 7 1/2, and 9 1/4. I'm going to repeat those because I don't want, I messed up what I was saying, so I want to make sure that I don't mess anybody up here. 4, 5 3/4, 7 1/2, 9 1/4. All right, and we're going to set that aside for just a moment. We only have one score line left to do. We have this piece that is 3 by 6, and we are going to score on the long side. We're going to score at 3. And I imagine that some people already have a guess at what kind of card we're making. We are done with our score tool, and we can put this aside. All right. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to get out our bone folder, and we're going to burnish some of those score lines. I'm going to start with the 3 by 6. And just give that a nice crease. And this does matter. This will make the card look more polished and finished. if you have a nice solid crease line there. Next, I'm going to start at, let's see, I'm looking through the lens to see if you can see. Yes. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to fold this way. And I am going to burnish that line. Then I'm going to fold the next one back the other direction, like this. And I'm going to burnish that line. And then the next one is the other direction. And then one more. And when these are all burnished, I will hold it up so that you can see the dimension that I've just created. So this is what your card looks like now. Okay. No, wait just a minute for people to catch up. So tonight I mentioned that I'm using the Sweet as a Peach bundle, so the stamps and the dies, and I'm using the designer series paper from that collection. Now that I fixed yeah, I guess that's good enough. I'm not going to move anymore. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to take these 3 strips of designer series paper, and we're going to adhere them in the first 3 folds. So you're going to center them top to bottom and side to side, here, here, and here. The first 3 panels. All right? So go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my green glue because I like the availability it gives me to wiggle my paper around until I feel like it's in just the right place. I don't ever get anything stuck down in the right place the first time. Otherwise, I would use the Stamp and Seal, which I absolutely love. So I'm going to start with my front piece, and then I'm going to align the tops and bottoms of my next 2 pieces based off of this first piece. So I feel like that's nice and straight. So it is raining and a little bit cold here in Vancouver, Washington today. I felt like it was warmer this morning, and then this afternoon I just got downright cold. But my husband just showed me that on the news that next week we have one day that's supposed to be 70 degrees. So that's amazing. Notice how the distance I have between the designer series paper and the edge of the cardstock, I've matched it here and here. So when this card opens up, it'll be visually aligned. And one more. Oh, it just started raining in Tri-Cities too. Yeah, it started a few hours ago here. When I went to physical therapy, it had just started misting. All right. I'm going to, it's funny, I had another card planned. Matter of fact, this is the 3rd card I had planned for tonight. And two other people had posted cards that were made almost identical. I mean, not the same cards, not the same colors or the same designer series paper, but it was the same card design. I was like, well, I can't do that. That person has 2,000 followers. Somebody's going to think that I took it from that person. Anyway, after the third card, this one actually showed up on somebody's webpage today too, and I was like, this is it. Everybody's stuck with this. I can't keep retyping up my instructions. All right, we have 3 pieces of the 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. We have 1 piece of designer series paper, you can't see it, that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. You're going to adhere this to 1 of these, and you're just going to center it like such. Just like that, so there's a nice little white border all the way around. Whoops. I pushed too hard. Get a glob of glue. There we go. I'm trying to just put just a little bit. And again, I'm just going to center. Now, if anybody is crafting along with me and you need me to slow down, please, please say so. Two of my regulars that craft along with me, neither one of those are on tonight. There we go. And they're usually pretty vocal and they let me know what's going on. So this piece that is 3 by 6, that we scored at 3, this crease is going to pop to the outside. This piece with the designer series paper is going to be adhered right here. See if you can see that very well. Just like that, you're just going to center it. All right. Oh, one of the perils of teaching online is sometimes you forget to turn off your notifications. And so just now I looked at my screen just as one of my sisters announced that somebody is having a baby. I have no idea who it is. I know it's not my sister, either one of my sisters, but evidently there's going to be another great niece or nephew in the family. All right. So next, I am going to take a sip of water. Now we get to do some stamping. So this piece that you stamp is going to be the center front of your card. This piece is going to be the sentiment or place where you write a message on the inside of your card. Excuse me. And time for a cough drop. Did you know that they've got funny little messages on these cough drops? Like, I just opened this up and this one says push on. Oh, these are the nasty tasting ones. Ugh. Okay. So, front and inside of my card. Don't adhere anything yet. I want to show you how to center everything up so that it's nice and easy for you. So I'm going to start with the front of my card. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm actually going to use my mini cut and emboss. Oh, the pace is good? Thank you. Yep, kind of fun. Love them babies so much. So I am going to stamp, and I'm going to do a little bit of cutting and popping up on dimensionals on the front of this card. So I'm going to start with, so go ahead and decorate the front, this front square. I think I'm going to do something like that. The colors I'm working with tonight are, my green is Old Olive, and then my flowers are going to be in Calypso Coral and Pale Papaya. And I'm going to show you how to do a two-color effect on your flowers. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and center this thereabouts. Nice. And where it looks like I have some little whited out marks, this stamp set kind of has a distressed appearance. So it's not actually missing ink. All right. So on a piece of scrap paper, so I don't want anyone to get confused, I have 3 pieces of scrap here. I'm probably going to go ahead and use this one. I'm going to stamp my Pale Papaya first. I'm not going to stamp it. I'm going to ink up with Pale Papaya first. I said that wrong. And then I'm going to take my Calypso Coral. I'm going to use an ink dauber, or a sponge dauber. And I've just applied some of the Calypso Coral, and I'm going to go around the edges of my flowers. And I'm just adding a little bit of color to the tips of those flowers. I taught a class last August. Everybody really liked this particular tip. And give that a nice little, you see that? That pretty? Now I'm going to close up these 2 ink pads for now, and realized I forgot my crumb cake. That I'm using for my flower centers. I could have used my Old Olive too. And the dies are going to cut out all 3 of these at the same time. So before I bring over the cut and emboss machine, I'm going to bring over my dies, line them up. And it looks like I'm well centered. Oops, I felt it move. Here we go. So I'm using a piece of Post-it tape to hold my die in place. Now, I could have, for the sake of tonight's video, I could have pulled out, I have a brand new set of plates, but I thought it would be better if I actually showed you. I use these so much, and if I brought out brand new plates, it would look like I was just selling you something rather than showing you that this is something I literally use all of the time. So I brought out the old plates. Let's see. Or didn't bring out the old plates, just didn't bring out the new plates. And I'm holding it down extra hard because my tabletop slips. This is a fake top on top of an antique table that I use for these demonstrations. All right. And pull off my Post-it tape. And there are my flowers. How's the decorating of the front of your of your square going? Is it going well? I'm going to use dimensionals. There we go. To pop up, I'm going to use a small dimensional on this smallest flower and bigger dimensionals on these two bigger flowers. And can you believe this card is well over halfway done? I promised you it wasn't going to be hard. All right. Let's see. I was trying to remember how this was set up. Yep. All right. Let's see. Here we go. How pretty is that, right? So much fun. Here we go. Now, I can adhere this square, and yes, I am going to put a sentiment across here somewhere, or a bow or something like that. Actually, I might only put the sentiment on the inside. We'll see. But I'm going to adhere my square to the front of this piece now. And don't do it until you're ready, but once you're ready, you go ahead and do the same thing. It is a fabulous little machine. I use it all of the time. It's really easy on my arthritis. Actually, both of our machines are pretty easy on my arthritis, but this one is just so doggone handy. All right. So there is that. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my piece for the inside of my card. So I could stamp some flowers and a sentiment. Actually, I think there's there's some smaller flowers in here. Right there. Now, I wouldn't be able to make these two color, they would be single color, but that's okay. Or I could just ink up one of the flowers. There's a couple different things I could do. Think about that. But I definitely want to put a sentiment, and I had already picked Thanks So Much. And it's crooked as heck on here, so I'm going to reset it on my block. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use the old olive ink. I will not adhere this. Yes, yeah, perfect for traveling in your RV. I actually know several people that use theirs in their RV. Let me re-ink that. Oh, that might be crooked. Little crooked. Let's flip it over. Two sides. I don't know if that one's any better. It is. This one's better. All right. I'm gonna wash off this little one of the stamps that I used earlier, put that back in its case so I can use this block on these little flowers. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just stamp these in Calypso Coral. I don't know, maybe that'll be too much. Hopefully it's not too much, because that's what we're doing. Decision made. So a few here, and maybe do a stamp off and do some, I better see what that looks like. Yeah, it's all right. Not the favorite that I've ever done. Here we go. All right. Set these aside. How we doing? Is it okay for me to march ahead and show you how to put this card together? So this piece is going to adhere to the front panel and to the inside panel, the one that does not have designer series paper on it. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. I came up with this thinking that if I had one more piece of designer series paper in here, it was actually going to make it too bulky. The concept card that I made, I did use it, and it's not too bulky. So if you wanted to, before you adhere this, you could put one more strip of designer series paper here. In the meantime, I am going to line up where I want this to be. So you could make this low, you could make this high. I am putting it right in the center, and I'm centering it from side to side and top to bottom. Now, what I want to point out is that if you were to glue or adhere the inside first and then the outside, there's a possibility it would be crooked, and then that's what would show on the front of your card. So I recommend gluing or adhering this front piece first. And the other thing I'm going to point out is it was not a full half panel. It was more than a third, but oh, come on, please. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I'm just going to use my tip to smear it around a little bit. Hopefully I don't get any squish out. Now I'm going to slide this bottom piece, not with no glue on it, back out here. And I am looking to the outside edge of my card to here, the outside edge of my card to here. And it looks like I'm fairly straight. So I'm just going to let that sit for just a moment. Now, we're going to add adhesive to this panel, and we're just going to flip this shut and hold it just like this. Okay? I have something a little sticky already there, and it's not even adhesive. So, a little bit of adhesive. Push this W fold. You've probably already guessed it's your W fold card. And hold that down. All right, so now here's our W fold. Now we still need to put this piece on the inside, right? This is what I'm going to show you on how to get that nice and centered so that it's not too high, not too low, not too far off to the side. We're going to put adhesive on the back. And then we are going to line it up with the back of that piece that we just adhered down. So just like that. There we go. It really is not the best interior I've ever done. The gluing was fine, it's my stamping. So, if I wanted to, I could stamp and cut some of these and place them right over those little flowers. So there's your card. Now I'm going to add a bow right here. I'm going to use the Pale Papaya open weave ribbon and my handy dandy bow maker made by my friend Ron Hartley in Kennewick. If you live in the Kennewick area and you're interested in one of these, I can hook you up with, give you his contact information. Otherwise, you can get one through me. So I'm using my, that didn't, there we go, fold correctly. A lot of times I cut right up the middle of this ribbon and create two thinner ribbons for a little fluffier bow. Tonight, I didn't do that. I'm not sure if everyone gets tired of seeing me do that, to be real honest. All right, then I can adhere my bow right up in here and then trim my ends. And then I need to figure out if I want to put some sort of sentiment on the front or if I'm just going to leave it just like this. I actually like it just like this, and I can't wait to show you my concept card because I'm in love with it. mini glue dot. Right on my branch. Let's see, which direction is that ribbon going? There we go. And I think I've got one longer than the other, so I can, yep, just a little. There we go. All right. Now, why do I feel like that's not closing that well? I don't know. I kind of still want to put something on the front. What are my options here? There's a let's celebrate you. Thanks so much to a sweet friend. Thanks so much to a sweet friend. I think that's what I'm going to do. To a sweet friend right here. I think I'm going to stamp it and trim it down to a real skinny little piece. These are so hard to read. Oh. To a sweet friend. There we go. Let's see. Have my handy dandy G block here. And I used Old Olive for my interior greeting, so I'm going to go ahead and use it on my outer greeting as well. Sorry. I was trying to put my head around the camera and I hit the bar that's holding the camera. That's a little sloppy. I think I better do that again. And that one's crooked. This is looking for my chamois. My exclamation point after my to a sweet friend is looking like an L. It's got too much ink on it. Well, here we go. I'm gonna hand cut this. I'm going to see, I want to see if I can cut off that exclamation point because it's, can you see that? It looks like an L. I don't like that. So if I cut that close, can I do the same thing on the other end? There we go. That's how I'm going to make that work. Close, ouch, closing, whoops, and my thumb went right in the ink. That's all right, I have a chamois right here, and it's just as good to wash off my hand as it is to wash off my stamps. All right, I am going to use I've got some pre-cut adhesive foam strips here, and I'm just going to go ahead and use those. Oops, crooked. And I'm almost done. There we go. And let's see, I can put that over here. I'm even gonna offset it slightly. But it's crooked, I think. There, that's better. Here we go. To a sweet friend, thanks so much. So there's a W fold. That was our mystery stamping card tonight. Now I'm going to bring over my concept card, and I used the Waves of the Ocean collection for this one. And this is the one where I said that I used the 4th piece of designer series paper. This one says happy birthday. I did use the die. I used a little bit of linen thread to emulate the rope. I did some of that same 2-color ink adherence here on the wave. I originally stamped it with Pool Party, and then I added in some Pacific Point. Pretty, huh? So do you like both these cards? Or, well, they're the same card, just 2 different prints. I hope so. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I will post these on Facebook and on my group page, not on the business page, but on the group page. If you've followed along, please feel free to go ahead and post your cards as well. It doesn't matter what brand you used. Oh, you're on YouTube. Well, you can't post it to YouTube, but you could post it to Facebook. Oh, thank you, Kate. I am so glad that you got to join in tonight. You and I've kind of circled around each other trying to catch up with each other, so this was nice. Well, thank you again for joining in. My love to everybody. Please stay safe and be well. And big, big hugs.